Discovering this idyllic place, we find ourselves filled with a yearning to linger here, where time stands still and beauty overwhelms. Author unknown. This quote truly describes my vacation this past summer to Alaska. It was a trip celebrating my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. The first leg of our trip consisted of a side trip to Denali National Forest, where we took a train from Anchorage to Denali and then a bus for 8 hours to Denali National Park. We saw bears, moose, and other wild animals. Now, I'm not a very nature-loving person, but it was in Denali National Park where I first really opened up my eyes to the environment which we were surrounded by. Although it was raining during most of our time in Denali, the flowers, animals, and scenery really overwhelmed me. It was so peaceful and serene in the park, and time really did stand still. The remainder of our trip was an Alaskan cruise. For 7 days, we spent time on the Coral Princess, our cruise ship, and anchored at 3 different ports, including Ketchikan, Skagway, and Juneau. Juneau was probably the highlight of my trip. My family and I went ziplining in the Juneau rainforest, where the tallest zipline reached 100 feet. This point on our trip was also an eye-opener for me. Gliding 100 feet above the ground in an Alaskan rainforest literally took my breath away. I found myself lingering on the zipline course as long as I could. I never wanted to leave. Aboard the cruise ship, we saw glaciers fall into the ocean, and I couldn't help but think back to the sinking of the Titanic. At one point, I captured a picture of a glacier falling into the water near a small sailboat. I couldn't imagine being in the small sailboat when the glaciers were bigger than our cruise ship. The whole trip changed my perspective on life. I had never been much of a photographer, but I found myself taking hundreds of pictures throughout the trip. Whether it was in Denali National Park on the cruise ship, or touring the different forts, or ziplining in the rainforest, time stood still. The beauty that surrounded me gave me a different perspective on how I view life. Discovering this idyllic place in our country made me cherish not only nature and the environment in which we live in, but also my relationship with my family and friends.